Say an exalted placement would be rapid shattings, away goings, could be very, very interested in the moment of the time that we're all considering living in. Venus in Pisces is deeply sentimental, deeply empathetic, deeply compassionate, and it all revolves around that loving, sweet, soulmate spiritual connection that it craves. And in love, it craves stability and compassion that make for two wonderful ingredients in the recipe of relationship. I'm Everett Curdy, and I'm going to be discussing the meaning of Venus and Pisces in the birth chart, and then I'm going to pull an oracle card from the Work Your Light Oracle by Rebecca Campbell to give some spiritual insight into how somebody with Venus and Pisces can really operate, can really approach life in general. This is a general reading, so they're not for staking the picking and the Iron Age remains, for instance. They are watching this video at any random time and picking up on that intuitive message that will probably resonate with them, that'll mean something to them, and for them to consider thinking about, for them to consider acting upon. That's what oracle cards are, is for your consideration, for your contemplation, for your thinking processes. Um, And the truth really is that if you journal with oracle cards, you are really thinking and considering about the information when you're journaling with that alone, because you're applying it to your life. And when I pull oracle cards, I journal the cards. I find that very, very helpful in something physical that I can do that really makes the reading pop with meaning. So, delving into Venus in Pisces in the birth chart. So, if you have Venus in Pisces, Venus is either two signs from the sign that the sun is in, or two signs after, or the same sign as the sun is in, or the sign before the sun or after the sun. Um, so if you have your sun sign in Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, or Taurus, you may have Venus and Pisces in your birth chart, in which case this video applies to you perfectly. So, what we need to understand about Venus and Pisces is that you need to go with the flow. You need to love life. You need to, jellyfish the rellyfish. You need to understand that there's an experience of flow in your life that has to be sort of put into motion, put into action. And there's flow when it comes to love, going with the flow, relaxing, allowing yourself to open up your heart and love that person very, very deeply. That's a part of this energy, is it's very sentimental, it's very heart-based. You don't want superficial relationships. You want your relationships to be very deep, to be very soulful. You want to meet your twin flame, your soulmate, somebody that you have a karmic bond with, that you want to connect on a soul-to-soul level, that you're really meant to connect with them on that deep emotional level that is bypassing beyond the ego. Now, Venus is considered exalted in Pisces because if Venus is love, Pisces is unconditional love. And so Venus and Pisces makes somebody, if you have this placement, very unconditionally loving and wanting to receive that back from others and reciprocating that back, so that reciprocity of unconditional love is super important to them. They can be very sensitive and deep in relationships. That can be very, very strong. Hallmark with this placement as their sensitive side really amps up and turns on very, very efficiently and very well. Now, they do live up in their heads. They do live up into the idea of people and situations rather than grounding into the reality of a person and their traits, their qualities, their flaws, their advantages, their talents. over idealizing in your mind a vision of them and falling in love with that vision of them as opposed to facing the real person in the flesh and loving them for who they authentically are. So that is something to watch out for if you have Venus and Pisces, to really know why you love them, know why you're in a relationship with them, not the idea of them, but who they actually are, the real part of who they are, really. That could be seen by anyone, not what goes on in your mind on the idealistic level. You can fall prey to indulging in fairy tales and fantasies if you overdo the energy. If you're to the extremes, you can really, get swept away by the fantasy of somebody very easily. Now, you may be very, very talented at art, music, dance, photography. These are all very Neptunian subject matters. You can also be really attracted to and drawn to a lot of beauty, to a lot of, paintings, or how you decorate your home, or how you dress in the morning. These kind of things like that that really make a huge, profound impact when it comes to beauty. You may be really into art in all forms, in many different forms, not just painting and drawing, but art in all forms, audible art, music, that kind of thing. Now, this is a placement where you could really, you need time to self-care. You need time to replenish your energy. You need time to recharge your batteries. You need time for solitude and quiet reflection. You need to go into your own inner world when you feel overwhelmed by what's going on the outside. It's very, very important if you have this placement to prioritize time to go into your sacred space, do your spiritual practice, do whatever you do that you define as recharging your batteries, as relaxing, of disconnecting, of disengaging with the demands and the expectations and the obligations of the outside world. Now, if you have this placement, you may be prone to passive aggressiveness. You may want to avoid direct communication, assertion, criticism, or confrontation because you just don't like conflict. You just don't like fighting and arguing and disharmony. And so that may be a very, very strong trait within you, but it's very, very important for you to assert yourself, for you to detach from what other people are going to think about you, detach from your need for absolute peace and harmony at all costs, because that's not, you can't have that at all costs. And actually, for there to be peace and harmony at all costs, you have to go through the conflict, the fighting it out, the dueling it out, the dealing with it to achieve true peace and harmony, not fake peace and harmony. So that is, where being assertive and being who you are is going to make for more peace and harmony at the end of the day and for the long run. Do it sustainable in that way. It's not sustainable to keep brushing things under the rug and to not acknowledge them and talk about them and deal with them. Now, you may also use subtle, refined psychological tactics of manipulation to get what you want. You know how to sort of get into people's psyche and convince them to give you something that you want. Really tapping into that. Being mindful of where they can serve you and where they can really be your downfall. You may also not have strong boundaries in relationships. You may Pisces is the ocean. There's no boundaries to the ocean. It all flows, it all merges in with each other. So you may not have very, very strong boundaries. That you may allow your boundaries to be broken, to be bolden, to be golden, to be silver, to completely wipe out the limitation that needs to be set for you to maintain your sanity. And so developing healthy boundaries can really set you free when it comes to um, just being in relationship in general. Just saying, no, I'm not going to do this. This is my boundary. This is the line that I'm drawing in the sand. And so when you claim that name, that when you assertively put that boundary in place, you'll find many blessings coming to you. You may be drawn to spirituality, you may be drawn to the divine, you may be very idealistic about love and the person that you love. Now, in relationships, you may bypass the conventionality and the practicality that is involved in relationships. Now, you may get caught in over idealizing somebody and getting so caught up in the fantasy, the dream, the ideal of who they are, of what you're envisioning, that you have such high expectations for them because of how high you idealize them. But you need to understand that nobody's perfect, that nobody can be 100%, that nobody can be living up to your expectations and fulfill your every idea and whim and all that kind of thing like that. So giving others grace when they don't fulfill your expectations is very important. So falling in love with the idea of someone, not the actual person of who they really are, is really the pitfall you could find yourself getting into. It's easy to put somebody on a pedestal with displacement. You want deep romance in relationship. You may not see people objectively for who they really are. You may get caught up in one side of them, get deceived by others, and the true intentions don't match up to what you imagined that what you thought they would be. So really reading the fine print, um, really delving deep, really being discriminating and suspicious in a healthy way can really help you set those healthy boundaries and determine who am I going to place my trust in? Who am I going to place my life and doggedness in? Should be able to say, no, I don't choose to follow this person because I have an intuitive hit. This person may be out for gold and not for true harmony or true peace or whatever the end goal may be that you envision for your life. You may be attracted to people who need healing and support and are not able to reciprocate love back. You may attract a lot of people in victimhood, a lot of people in need of support and to be saved. Pisces ascendants underneath the bridge, begging for food, not having any money. You may be attracted. Those people may be attracted to you, and you may attract them like a light that attracts bugs. So being very mindful of who you let in is very important. And idealized relationships are not always good for you. People with Venus and Pisces in their chart, they are most compatible with other Venus in water signs such as Venus in Cancer or Venus in Scorpio, and individuals with Venus in the earth signs of Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. So you're deeply romantic and idealistic. Compassion and empathy are really huge values for your in relationship. It's very, very important that there is that true peace and harmony for others. That's really, really strong. Um, Love, in your definition of it, is a deeply profound and soulful experience. You may have a strong desire for connection and intimacy. You may have a lot of empathy and compassion for the person that you're in love with. Um, you may be very moved by the beauty and suffering of the world. That may really touch you on the deep level, and you want to do something to help humanity as a whole because of that pain that you feel, that empathetic overload. Connection and intimacy are really, really important values for your relationship. You understand the importance of strong foundations in a relationship. You may be very, very good at art. Artistic expression may be very huge for you. You may find inspiration in music, dance, or poetry. Um, Now it's important to ask yourself this question. Does your desire for emotional connection for others and the need and the security of that emotional connection, is that blocking your judgment? Is that blocking your clear, logical thinking processes? You may have deeply emotional and spiritual soulmate connections. Those kind of connections are what you seek in relationship. You may have a lot of selfless love going on for you. That may be really, really huge for you. Um, and so finding beauty in the unseen and the is very important for you. Finding beauty in the depths of art and nature. You prioritize spiritual fulfillment as opposed to material your material desires getting met. Spiritual fulfillment is way more important to you. You want to be live in the world where people are celebrated for their inner beauty and ability to connect on a soul level. You may have emotional expression and vulnerability may be huge subject areas for you. Maintaining boundaries in your relationship is very, very huge for you as well. It's very important for you to have. And you need to be with someone who supports and respects your creative and need for introspection and creativity. You want art and aesthetics that provoke emotion within you. You may ignore the red flags in current partnerships. It's very important to be discerning about who you let into your life, of who you connect with. And are they really right for you on a soul level? Are they for your highest good? It's very important to have unconditional and lack of judgment love. You may possess this if you have this placement very, very easily, is love that goes beyond judgment. It goes beyond that kind of tough love type thing. Um, you fantasize the partner to be exactly like you imagine them to be. Um, may get caught in the idea of that very easily. You're very aware of the suffering of others. You have boundless compassion for everyone and everything. You may want to lend a helping hand when others around you need it. You may empathize with others and really feel their pain. Spending time daydreaming is also really, really huge trait that you may have, you may fall into. You're always finding ways of escaping realities like books or movies or video games or whatever means that you can form to escape reality, because Pisces wants out of this reality. If a spaceship landed on Earth, Pisces would be the first one to board because there's so much, um, pain and suffering in the world that they're so like empathetic, like a sponge to it. And they want out, they want an escape. There's a love for the arts, picking up on your partner's every want need may be really, really calm and peaceful to you, very intuitive, very perceptive of them. You may be very beautiful, peaceful, and loving. You may be very gentle, dreamy, and imaginative. You may come together with your lover on a deep spiritual level. It's very important. And in relationships, you are all in. You love with all your heart. You're very, very loyal in relationships. You may be idealistic, creative, artistic, mystical, and compassionate in relationships. As promised, I'm going to pull an oracle card from the Work Your Light Oracle to see what spirit has in place for you, for what you generally need to know. So let's find out what the cards have to say. So my question is, what does someone with Venus and Pisces in their birth chart need to know for their highest good? Let's find out what the cards have to say. Okay. Now this is very, very interesting. The card that I got is Warrior Woman. Have you answered your deepest calling? So this is saying, to not, ignore your calling because you may be so caught up in other people's calling and others people's dreams. But have you answered your deepest calling in this lifetime of what your soul is calling you to fulfill? Have the courage to live an authentic, whole, heart and soul-centered life where you're following the nudges and the intuition and the desires of your soul. Um, And so don't live a life based up in your ego. Live a life connected to your intuition, connected to your soul. And if you have resistance to going after what your soul is calling to you, what your intuitive nudges, that's a good thing because that's telling you that that thing is going to take work and challenge, but it is going to be the right thing for your highest good. Um, so feel the fear and do it anyway. Take that chance. Take that risk, and really do it very, very well. Going on for you in your life. So this is saying have courage, and it may come from courage from the heart. Um, Needing a lot of should be courageous from that heart-centered place, not the ego-centered place. And doing what you're afraid of is going to really, really put you on the right track. So there you have it. That is my video on Venus in Pisces. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you found this video very important, very insightful to you, that it was a valuable use of your time to watch it, and if it was, consider sharing it with somebody who would also enjoy this video as well. You can utilize the features such as the subscribe button and the like button so that you see more of these kind of videos and so that it puts these videos out so that more people can see them and receive them. Thank you for watching, um, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.